Okay, hey everybody, this is Grace, and I wanted to talk about something that I have somewhat questioned over years. You know, my degrees are in psychology and sociology, and I was a career student over 20 years. So I'm a social and behavioral scientist. I even taught at college and university. And I say those things not to brag, I say them because there's some information needed. Matter of fact kind of thing. And one other thing I always question, I question these on a lot of things, not just this one, but if say you have something that to jump into it now, that you're suspicious of, and it's made you feel like, oh, you know, and some would call it the everyday use of paranoid, that you're being paranoid. And then you tell somebody and they just spoiled it. They say, oh, you're just being paranoid. So in a way, you who could possibly be a victim or about to be victimized, you're suspicious of that. You're already put to blame. Blame the victim. You know, they're doing that. Victim blaming, some would call it. There are other things this is. But it was on my mind because I told Adam I predicted something that was going to happen. Not predicted as though I knew I would. I just told him, I said, you watch, this might happen and this might happen. And it was in medical, which I've had so much trouble with in my lifetime, really, especially last year. Since 2023. Today is the 10th day of 2026, January 10th, right. Anyway, I told him, you know, went to a doctor 3 days ago. No, in urgent care 3 days ago. It wasn't a doctor. And I said, watch, this is going to be, somewhat of the outcome. And sure it was. Two of the things I was lied to about, I was misinformed on. Can they do they do this? Yes. Do they do that? Yes. By two different people. The second one, when I spoke to the next day to make the appointment, she was extremely rude. And just on and on, I told him some things. One of them didn't come true, but nothing came true. That was the problem. Yeah, it was just so weird. And anyway, things I have told him in the past. And it's because I see how the system is working with this particular system, how it goes. And some of it has made me feel this, that if I say anything, if I, make a statement that, tell any of them that something was wrong with I asked this other doctor a question, that other doctor didn't answer my question, was evasive, and that's a form of complaining. That, oh, they're going to gang up. We all know this, don't we? I mean, maybe not 100% certain, but I taught a class on years ago, and it was about who are the laws made for, and this kind of stuff. And it did actually in the textbook for a class at a university did sum it up that way. Okay, and I'll just bring it to mind, and I've heard this since I was a child, this kind of thing, that these big places, they have all the lawyers, it's your word against theirs. How many of us have heard that it's our word against theirs? And so you make complaints, so that's the whole thing. The thing is, it's set up to where too often you can't complain. Even you can't tell somebody, I feel like I'm really. They'll say, oh, you're paranoid. Because we know, don't we? You're complaining. Are you going to win? And your complaints, like in this case, are right on target. So you just have to accept it. And a lot of us don't think that way. That we just need to accept whatever. See what I'm saying? I'm trying to make these videos brief, so...